And this one's going to be fun to break down. Conference realignment has hit the Mountain West Conference. You got Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Utah State, San Diego State now planning to join the Pac-12 in 2026. Also this week, the Pac-12 filed a federal lawsuit against the Mountain West, seeking to hold a scheduling agreement between the two conferences invalid. The scheduling agreement calls for millions in financial penalties payable to the Mountain West in the event the Mountain West teams leave for the Pac-12. UNLV, meanwhile, remains one of only 4 teams left in the Mountain West, along with UNR. So what is the basis of Pac-12's lawsuit, and could the lawsuit and the departures of so many schools mean for the Mountain West and UNLV? Joining us now to sort all this out is attorney Matt Hoffman with Battle-Born Injury Lawyers. And boy, there are a lot of injured feelings right now.
And I'm sure all these decisions are for the kids.
Yeah, right.
Right. You know,
right.
Nothing to do with money.
So what's going on? Break this down now.
So it's bizarre, and there's a lot to this. I'll try to do the best I can, but simplistically, you had the 4 teams announce, hey, we're going to the Pac-12. Then on Monday, Utah State says, we are too. So you got 5 teams leaving. Then in the interim, the Mountain West had sent a demand letter to the Pac-12 saying, hey, back last December, less than a year ago, we entered into a scheduling agreement, and there's an anti-poaching clause saying you're not going to take our players. We'll agree to play you, but you're not going to take our guys. And if you do, you owe a penalty. It was $43 million as the penalty. Might go up now because of Utah State. And in response, they file a lawsuit in Northern California saying, invalidate this agreement that we signed. It violates the Sherman Antitrust Act. It violates California's Unfair Trade Practices Act.
Right.
Because there are 2 California schools involved. And here we are. The lawsuit's been filed. 5 teams have announced their intention to defect.
So now the Pac-12, which really only consists of 2 teams right now, because the rest of the Pac-12 left for other conferences last year. So now you've got 2 teams remaining in the Pac-12 under that banner that are in fact now going after Mountain West schools.
Exactly what they promised they wouldn't do when they entered the scheduling agreement. And they're saying, well, when we did that, we were under duress. We had just been abandoned by all these teams in the Pac-12. We had no options. The only option we had was to schedule with the Mountain West. And because we had unequal bargaining power, our backs were against the wall, so you should invalidate this agreement. I think that's kind of a, I'm not going to use a bad expletive, but it's a bad argument. I mean, to say your backs were against the wall, you had 2 teams, Steve. 2. Well,
they were on life support.
Right, but you could have scheduled with any conference.
Right.
You only have 2 teams. It's not hard to get games for only 2 teams in your conference.
So wouldn't it be more reasonable for the Pac-2 to just say, let's merge with the Mountain West, rename the conference like the Pac Mountain Conference or whatever.
Or just the Pac-12.
Or the Pac-12.
Yeah, and we're already a Power 5 conference. It would be attractive to the Mountain West. I think everyone probably would have reached some kind of an agreement. But they didn't. And then on top of it, remember when they entered this agreement, they had pending litigation against the teams that left them,
right,
which ultimately did settle for $65 million. So a $43 million penalty clause that they agreed to, well, of course they agreed to it. They needed the scheduling, and they knew they'd have the money if they had to get out.
When do you think this will all get resolved?
Well, I mean, if I'm UNLV, I know it sounds chaotic. It's not as bad as it seems.
Yeah, where are they in this?
They're in a pretty good spot because you either stay in the Mountain West, which is now going to get a lot more money. You still have the buyout fees, the transfer fees from the schools themselves, plus whatever you ultimately get from the Pac-12. So there's going to be a well-funded conference. Probably have to add a school or add some schools to get to the minimum 8. And then you sit back, you can negotiate a no exit fee or something and wait for the Big 12 to come calling. It sounds like they want to expand, and that would be the logical extension. But for the next couple of years, it's going to be a mess.
Wild West.
And UNLV could leave tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I think this litigation is just trying to push a settlement.
All right.